a bunch load of DNA tests were done in Manchester. And 70% of all the DNA tests that were done in Manchester returned adverse results, which means that the people them were not related.
So Manchester, the promo code you use is Kommon Cents, spelled KOMMONCENTS. You get a $5,000 discount off any DNA test with express results.
You want the truth? We got the way. Paternity test just a phone call away. Father, siblings and grandparents too. Find out the youth of a hoe. The whole kids online for delivery. You get it in at the pharmacy. Or we could come to you, or you could come to we. And take a 876 DNA test. Yes, it at the best. Come get the burden off your chest. The most affordable way to make sure the right father depend the certificate. 876 DNA test. For more info, call us today at 876DNA-TEST. That's 876-362-8378. Or visit our website at 876DNATEST.com. 876DNA-TEST. Know your lineage.
Wagwan, this is Elaine representing from 4BD. It's all about the best in men's fashion. Ladies, come here and get your men some amazing clothes. Men, come fix up yourself and nice up for your life. I know some wife and all these things. Look here, this nice see? Ooh, yes, honey. There's something man so weird. 4BD. This is where you have to be. No love. Mwah.
Common sense, make it make sense. You're here with Teron Door, right? The man who is known as a Door, and he's from 876 DNA Test. It's a pleasure having you here, sir. I know we started by you telling us about the business and how it all came into play and all of that. But I have a few questions for you here. But you were just about to explain something for Jackson before we went to for a break. So could you carry on with that?
Yeah, the question he asked was, I mean, what book are that I use to shape my thought process, right? Yeah. So I read a lot of books and I watch a lot of videos, right? But if I'm gonna give you an answer that is specific to this, it comes out of the story. So the book I read that changed my perspective around DNA paternity test is a book that's called Jacket or Full Suit by Professor Jacket or Full Suit. So and let me explain why that is important and how it all came full circle. So I'm from Westmoreland. My father is a Rasta man that sell craft on the beach. So when I was leaving Mannings to go to university, I had to do student loan. There was no other way, right? Fortunately for me, I had two uncles, one just turned police and one turned fireman. Just in time, because them time the student loan require two guarantors, and people now sign guarantor for nobody, So as a youth, when I come from nowhere, my two uncles, them saved me to get me in a student loan, right? When I was going to do it for my undergraduate degree, I never have no money, like broke. Like them literally send me and say, yo, yeah, first night family for graduate high school, go a 6 song, go university, you have to go figure it out, right? And gotcha. So throughout my undergraduate degree, I never have any money to buy any books, but I figured out something. I recognized that the lecturers used to give away books in class, right? So they ask a question, and if you get the answer right, they give away books. And I figured that out. So if I cannot buy the book, I have to be educated early and prepared to win the book. And I won books that carried me straight through my university. So I have a lecturer. Oh. And if you guys ever get a chance, you can watch my interview and profile, my profile interview, right? I mentioned this lady. Her name is Dr. Christine Cummins. Changed my life forever. Because this lady used to give away books. And I'd always win the books. One of these days, the lady came up to my office. Recently, she's not retired. She came up to my office because I'm one of her favorite students. Because, you don't know if you have a star student who make it, favorite. And she gave me this book, Jacket or Full Suit, by one of our colleagues, fellow lecturers, Dr. Sanya King.
Hold on. You're telling that your ancestors hear to cry and the Almighty hear to cry.
Let me explain something to you. Even after me thinks I'm a big man and done with school, the woman still teach me. The lady gave me the book and I read the book, and the thing changed my perspective totally, on paternity and testing, That is when I
Oh.
recognize, oh, hold on, I need to apply not just the business, but my academic skill set, research and all that on the business in terms of generating the data. Because that is what's going to help us to drive national conversations, to better understand the issue in an unsensationalized way, and to have discussions like this. I said that as it relates to this part of my career in the business, that book was very important. The introduction of the book and where it came from, because I probably wouldn't have read it if it never came from Dr. Cummins, right? Because this woman has always been giving me books. She's been feeding me books, and because
So
of
there's a relationship there.
yeah, because of the nostalgia that came with it, because I couldn't afford the books. And now I can pretty much buy anything, but she gave me the book and said, if you're going to go in this business, I want you to approach it like you've always approached your studies, judiciously. You have to be informed, and it really helped. So
the youngsters are thinking, you see, understand, it's not about don't having the resources, but putting yourself in the position to get the resources, and that's what you did.
Yes, sir.
So before I go any further, you understand, I'm representing 4BD. You understand, looking, you know what I mean, quite spiffy. It's a fashion for meals. So if you're in Jamaica, Ocherous, make sure you go ahead and check out 4BD. I'm sure you saw the ads just now. But let me go into some question with you, because I'm a man I like to dig a little bit deeper when it comes to the statistic and the understanding of it. So, we are here and we want to know. So how did you go about this paternity survey that you put out? How did you go about it?
Great question.
Why do you think that the public needed to hear this, and I'm going to put it out there to shake Jamaica and the world?
Yeah, great question. So, we didn't start out by doing a survey, because I got this book that I told you that shaped my perspective after we started the business. Right? So we didn't start out to say we're going to do a survey that is going to shape the business. We were just conducting business and serving people in the right way and helping them to get the answer, right? But the opportunity that 876 DNA Test has is this. We have 64 locations spanning all 14 parishes and most major towns, which means that there may be other companies, but they may be located in Kingston, a particular area, but they don't have the scope and scale of operation to give a national pulse on an issue like we do. You understand?
Okay.
So remember, these are not free DNA tests, and they're not cheap, right? We're working on getting them cheaper. We're the most affordable, but they're still not cheap. People are actually having doubts across the island about their relationships, and they come into us. They Google 876 DNA tests. Them call 876 DNA tests, and they come to us. So what we are reporting on is the data that we're seeing through our business operation, which is not skewed to the east or the west or the north or the south of the island, or like something was central in the town area, like town. These are people from all 14 parishes, all major towns, different. We could even tell you the data of paternity, or what we call adverse results, per town. We just choose not to do that because we're not trying to, again, we are conscious about the sensationalism of how people review data. So we didn't set out to do a national study. It's just that our scope allowed for us to tell you exactly what is happening in the island. Because we have all these locations. Our strategic objective is to have a location within 25 minutes of 85% of Jamaicans, because 85% of Jamaicans live in town or along coastal areas. There's 15% of them that live in the rural and in the hills. We already knew that it wasn't logistically feasible to serve those people, and they do come down to the towns. So the reason why we have all these locations, and they're not by accident. I strategically chose where each location was going to be in order to serve that mandate, to have a location within 25 minutes of 85% of where Jamaicans live.
So let me ask you this question.
Let me say this, gentlemen, really quick. People, remember the promo code. Take the opportunity. 1876 Kommon Cents.
No, not 1876. No.
Kommon Cents.
Kommon Cents. Just remember that. Kommon Cents on the start with a K. All right.
Yes.
So let's go a little bit more.
Put it up on the screen.
Yeah, man. No, so let's go a little bit more in it. People them want to know, Well, I want to know, and I've got a person reach out to me asking these questions as well. So, Mr. Dua,
yes, sir.
When it comes to the age group, based on testing, which age group give the most jacket? One of our grandmother.
You want to know if it's what?
One of our grandmother, the middle age, You know what I mean? So for example, from 45 to 55, you know what I mean, or it's from 65 to upward, or is it from 20 to 35? Talk to me. The people want to know.
Rita, brilliant question, Rita. This again is another Kommon Cents exclusive because the people don't have this data yet. Because we're talking about the 47% adverse results now. These are the snippets from our total big report that we haven't officially published as yet, right?
Exactly.
So we have the ability to DNA test from the mother is pregnant. So we can tell who the father is on a fetus from as early as 7 to 8 weeks old. So we're not talking about those. Yes, those are called non-invasive prenatal paternity tests. But we'll talk about those another time. So you don't have to wait until the baby is born. But we'll talk about that another time, right? The youngest person we've tested is 1 hour old, baby. So our mobile lab team, we have a fleet of vehicles that go right across the island every day. We collect DNA samples from people's homes or any place of convenience. Of course, we go to the hospitals. Because now the trend has been developing where the men are attempting to do a DNA test before they sign the birth certificate, which is smart, right? And obviously, if you're trying to get that done before you do that, the best opportunity to do it is in the hospital, right? So they call it 876DNATEST. They schedule what we call a mobile lab visit. And we come there in our unbranded vehicles, our DNA technicians consult with the nurse and doctors and staff and collect the sample. So 1 hour old. Yeah, 1 hour old, right? The oldest person we've tested is a 92-year-old man, right?
Gotcha. We want what that age, man.
Yeah, you know, it wasn't him, you know. It was his 64-year-old son who heard a rumor that this 94-year-old father was not his father. And it affected him so much that he had to act on it.
Okay, understood.
Yeah. So his 94-year-old son, again, this is one of the international tests too, to give you some more details. So he stayed overseas and tested against his father in Jamaica. Turned out it was not his father. Earth-shattering, right? So when we look at the data now, from 1 hour old to 92-year-old, what we see is that the average finding of adversity is 15 years old. So men are finding out at an average 15 years that they've nurtured and take care of children up to age 15 that become not theirs. Because, so I just told you, a lot of adults do DNA tests against each other. So they alone have two parties.
Let me break it down. So you're saying is the average is 15 years that they find out that they have nurture or taking care of a son or a daughter upon 15 years before they find out. But the statistic that I'm looking for, the age group where you realize that, you know, after doing this survey, that the ladies from, for example, 25 to 35, we have seen more peak or more results showing that the paternity fraud.
You know, I wouldn't be able to tell that with that. Let me tell you why I wouldn't be able to tell that. And there's a limitation of that we probably should seek at addressing, even though I'm trying to understand the value of that data. Because our approach is never to victimize the ladies or baby ladies, right? I'm trying to understand the value of that data.
Yeah.
Because we don't, most of the tests are not maternity tests. So most of the tests don't require us to collect the mother's DNA sample or data.
Gotcha.
Right?
That's what I want to find out.
But again, I mean, we are open to learnings, and if that information adds value to drive the national conversation forward, without really trying to blame the mothers or position in a bad light, then we will look at collecting that data because we can, right? But I wouldn't necessarily be able to say
it's not a blaming game, but I think ladies that are going about and doing this deceitful ways should be held responsible. So it's not blaming, it's making them responsible, just like how the father can be brought to court or any means if they are not taking care of their children. Likewise. So it's about responsibility, right?
I wouldn't be able to say it's the young people, the women below 25 or the women above 45, because bro, we see so much adults. If adults are testing so much, it means that you're talking about the more experienced and big woman them who are whatever. And then we see so much young people. So I'd say it's a cross-generational problem we're having. Okay. That is what I'd say. Yeah.
You look for a specific answer, you know.
Yeah. I have the answer where you asked me for with that.
No, the question I asked, what parish do?
Parish, Q. So Q, you don't look on the data. So
now put it up on the screen.
Why from you? One of the viewers them will watch it now. Hear from you.
Jackson, put it up on the screen. Come answer the question. And again, you know, we are a data-driven company. You know, you know what I said? We don't talk. We not when we tell you something, it's not feelings. Because when I talk about feelings, this thing is not. I know it can be an emotionally charged conversation, but it's not feelings, right? So walk to the people again how we get it. Because we're not trying to paint a parish as negative or positive, right? Remember, we have 64 locations across the island in every parish, multiple locations per parish. So if you think about your parish, I have a major town or minor town in there, chances are we have a location there. You just don't know.
Before you answer, wait, give them the drum roll.
What our results mean, because we don't want people to say 47% of everybody in Jamaica a jacket. That's not what the data means. We don't want people to say 50% of everybody in Kingston and St. Andrew jacket. That's not what the data means. What the data actually means is people in Jamaica have doubts about their relationship. Father have doubts about whether the father children. Grandmothers have doubts about whether this grandchild is theirs. Aunts have doubts about whether this nephew is theirs, right? When they have doubts, they seek answers. Their preferred company to get the answers from is 876DNATEST. Them literally.
I like the way you flip it. I like the way you flip it there.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
I do have a quick story. I have a quick story. The other day I went into this Jamaican store. It's a quick story. Yeah, man. I went to do this Jamaican store. It's a restaurant, sorry, to buy some food. And big man came in there, right? I'm say, what go on, Yadi? I'm say, yeah, man, me there. What go on, you good? Say, yeah, man. So I say, which part of the island you from? I say, Mobi. So I say, where you come from? I say, Manchester. I say, Jesus. Anyway, continue.
Yes. So
move forward. What are the next question that I have that you want to entwine with? Is it that you, for each parish, I think you kind of explained that, but I'm going to, probably you can go a little more depth in it.
Yeah.
For each parish, then you go about as, all right, we're going to test, based on the test, we're going to put, for the survey, we're going to put, like, for example, 2,000 persons for each parish, and then make a ratio and work out it. Or you go about doing it to find that person.
Great question. So what you're seeking to understand is the methodology and the sampling strategy around it, right? So remember, as we declared in our adversary, we didn't set out to do a national study, our national representative study, or a study that was representative of a particular parish. This data is directly coming from our business operation. We do hundreds, if not thousands, of DNA tests, right? And we have locations everywhere. So let's start from the big data, which is the 47%, right?
Okay.
So what we said was 47% of everybody who's done a DNA test with 876 DNA tests across Jamaica, we found out that they were not biologically related. We call them adverse results. 47%. So if you had doubts about your biological relationship and you came to 876 DNA test to do the result, 47% of the people were correct in their initial doubt. That's what the data means. No, so we're not going down to say we were trying to do what we call a sample size, representative sample for Manchester, for example. But I'm telling you, a bunch load of DNA tests were done in Manchester. And 70% of all the DNA tests that were done in Manchester returned adverse results, which means that the people them were not related. Right? So
Gotcha.
we weren't trying to pin Manchester and about, it's just that a bunch of DNA tests were done.
The statistics is based on person that did DNA testing.
Did the DNA test. So we want people to understand this. We're not trying to go out there and say everybody, 47% of our families in Jamaica are doing it. But a lot of people have doubts.
On the person that came to.
And the people who've taken the steps to prove or disprove that doubt, that is the response that they get. Very important.
So do you guys are looking into do a overall thing like check the result from the case where persons are trying to do filing, the international results and then put it together and do a realistic result for us? You're looking into that?
And it's not looking into it. So let me explain something to you. So in our previous conversation, I was telling you that I in my academic career, both at the undergraduate and graduate level, I studied international policy development and management with keen focus on research. This is why you see the data come out that way, right? I'm the one who that is where I get the value from in this company, the research and the ability of providing credible data that can drive national policy conversations around how we try to address this issue. Now, so we've done enough tests in order to do a nationally representative sample for a country that has a population of 2.86 million people within a margin of error of plus or minus 3. You need a sample of at least 1,067. Now, I say that to say I'm acutely aware of what it takes to be a nationally representative sample. That's all I have to say about this. I'm acutely aware of what it is. So why we don't claim to run a national survey? I want people to understand that we're not out here sensationalize it, and
you're not ruling it out.
be aware
what it is.
of what is required. I think you need to, and I don't need to say anything else because I know to get it.
Yeah, man.
All right.
So look at this now. Someone, and these are some questions that I posed, because I did my little survey, so some questions for persons have in mind. So, for example, someone, a man is trying to, or a woman is trying to find out about if their father is their father. It's more like a Jerry Springer thing, but if their father is a father, but the person has passed away, is that still possible? And explain.
Very possible. Very possible. So again, it also depends on where you are. Because we do this too. You have people have thoughts about whether or not their father is a father, just after they pass away. So we've conducted paternity tests on deceased samples. That's one thing you need to know. So we have relationship with funeral homes. People, your father passed away, all of a sudden somebody pop up out of the woodwork. We collect DNA samples before the body is embalmed or buried. We've done those. We're a full service DNA paternity and relationship company. But let's say, for example, it's too late. You don't know your father, right? Remember, we do paternity. A paternity test is when you test a child against a father. And then you have relationship testing. Now remember, let's let people, you can test, a child is 50% genetic, get 50% of the genes from their mother and 50% from their father. Which means if you want to find out if this child is your grandmother's, try to find out if this child belongs to their son, can test against their son, because the grandmother and the grandchild share 25% genes, genetic material.
What?
Same thing with the grandfather. Aunts and uncles also test against their nieces and nephews to find out if they're them brother pitney, because they share genes. Let me give you a next big common sense statistics now. 70% of all calls and appointments that are set are made by women. Now we tell you sit back. I know you never get that.
Whoa.
70% of calls
I would have never guessed
and
that.
appointments are set by women, and let me explain why. No matter feel like saying,
Go ahead.
them sister and them grandmother, I sit down and make some of them people lady I take them grandson for that, Them are calling, them have them own doubts and them are calling.
And them brother.
Yes. Yes, the sisters are calling and expressing doubts.
You're no longer looking at the big toe and saying, why have a big toe? Or you have a big finger.
So if they have doubts, they're calling and they're setting the appointment. As a matter of fact, you have grandmothers who are testing grandchildren behind the father back. Because you have all these things are happening. The new girlfriends of this man who have a child out there, she have feared out because she have cried clean. And then you have genuine men who have female friends. So the females in the society sometimes tend to be a little bit more educated and are better able to explain themselves. And it don't mean that the man is not behind the call, But the females are the one who do the administrative work of reaching out, finding out the data, going back to the man. It's the man financing it in most instances. But
I think it's the man ego, I think it's the man ego. Him don't want to know if still up on the truck. Because this thing at Jamaica with them say, get up on the truck.
Get
You understand? Get the truck. It affects a man to find out, for example, I have 6 kids and to find out that the 6 of them are female. So I understand the emotional, but Q will get a little more into that. To understand where something like that will come. And you actually answered my next question. Because I was asking if it's a case where, saying the mother doesn't agree towards a testing, can that test still be done?
yes, in Jamaica, you don't need the mother's presence, permission, or consent to do a DNA.
Repeat that again for me.
Yeah, in Jamaica, you don't need the mother's.
Repeat that again for me. What you say?
You don't need the mother's presence, permission, or consent to do a DNA test. So,
Use the promo code.
yeah. So,
Kommon Cents.
yeah.
That's it.
So, if you have doubts, and remember, so 876 DNA test offers 3 very convenient ways of getting a DNA test. If you want to come in office, we have 64 locations in every parish, right? If you prefer not to come in office because you just don't want to come, or you can't get access to the child to take the child in office, you order a home DNA testing kit. Something that looks just like this, right? And we ship them out in branded packaging, or what we call discreet packaging. If you don't want nobody to know anything, discreet packaging. Now, nothing on it. Clueless.
You have some people love open Amazon package, you know.
Right.
Amazon package show for the door and they just pull it out open it.
And what the men do is that they use what is called this is a sterile cotton tip applicator. All it requires is 10 to 15 swabs on the inside of the cheek on the child. So they do that at home. Whether with the mother's knowledge or without the mother's knowledge, return them to us. We'll test them and send them your results via email. Right? So a lot of DNA tests are done. Men do a lot of DNA tests, and people do a lot of DNA tests on children without carrying them into a facility or without the mother's express knowledge or consent. Then you need to understand
information.
Yeah, you need to understand something with that. There's a next part you don't touch yet. A big part. You have women who do DNA tests using men's DNA sample without their knowledge or consent. That is
So they want to find out.
Yeah, so they want to find out. Yeah, so let's say, for example, you have
the woman a test to see if any mini money more catch up with him by him too.
No, I think it's probably the husband bring home an outside child.
Hold on, Jackson. I'm step that back for you. Jackson. I'm set that back for you. That's one scenario, but it's not. You have women who live in households with male partners.
Right.
You have extramarital, extra relationship affair or whatever it is, right? Child come forth. Obviously, they've assigned the child to the father, the partner who live in the household, but they're not sure they have doubts. But they don't want to go to the partner who's in the household to say, I did this. So what they do is that they do what is called a discrete sample test. And a discrete sample test can be done on anything from a toothbrush, 5 to 10 toe or fingernail clippings, hair from the root, man clean him ears with a Q-tip, bubble gum. Yeah, man.
And you're saying 876 accept all of these things?
Yeah, man. It's a discrete. It does cost a little bit more money because what we're doing is we're extracting DNA sample from an unusual sample. But yeah, people do this all the time.
Get them another promo code.
Yeah.
So Manchester, the promo code you use is Kommon Cents, spelled KOMMONCENTS. You get a $5,000 discount off any DNA test with express results.
You're not picking on Manchester. World.
No, sorry. The entire country. Sorry, did I say Manchester? That probably slipped out. It's the entire country.
I wanted to allow Manchester alone, you know. Yeah, so a lot of people do DNA tests. People do DNA tests for many reasons, as you know. People want to do DNA tests for their own peace of mind. That is one of the things that drive DNA tests. They have doubts. And then you should know some data. 85% of kids born in Jamaica are born outside of wedlock. So once you're born in wedlock, the hospital system immediately gives the child the father's name. So assume that the father is the name. What is the child's father? And they get the father, whether or not it is. I understand how this marriage thing, all right? So 85% of kids are born outside of wedlock. And then 50% of kids don't have their father's name on the birth certificate. So RGD has been doing a great job in terms of driving an initiative to get that downwards, right? So now a lot of kids born and the father is not there, and they are given the father's name in some instances, or the mother named them after themselves. Right? They get them. So one of the things that is driving DNA testing is the need now to add the father's name after. And in that instance, you need a legal purpose DNA test. Or certificates look like this. They're very fancy. Don't zoom up on it because this is client data. I'm just showing you how it really looks. You know? Really nice and official. Right?
Not trouble.
Yeah. This one is
that one asking is for a friend. Asking for a friend here.
Yeah, that one is 99.99%. Actually, I didn't look at it. Yeah, that one is the father. Yeah.
Just asking for a friend. Asking for a friend. So if your father's name is not on your birth certificate, right? You say you need a legal. So what if your father has passed on? Then you have to do. You can actually do legal purpose testing with a relative. With a relative.
Yeah, with a relative. I remember you can test against siblings. So remember me tell you can test against grandparent, grandfather, grandmother, uncle or aunt. That category of test is called a vom killer test. or you can test against full or half.
Before we go to Q, you're mentioning about the international results about 1 to 10. Explain
Yes,
about that.
so that's where I was going. So I was saying
Mhm.
the first thing that drives DNA testing is peace of mind. The second is the birth certificate thing where you need a legal purpose test. The third thing is immigration, filing, right?
Mhm.
So the immigration test is a little different. So when you do an immigration test, there's what you call a chain of custody process, the strict chain of custody process. The results are not sent to you. The results are sent directly from the lab to the embassy. So you have people who go to the embassy as a family in a one car. Because remember, they don't know them results, you know. And when you go to the embassy, you know, a man or a woman behind a window is going to tell you at that point in time that you guys are not biologically related, you know. You go as one family and you leave broken in. So there was a leaked diplomatic cable that came out of the US consulate that showed that 1 in 10 every DNA test that go in there for immigration tests were not related. That is 10%. Leaked diplomatic cable. If you search the internet, you'll find it. They're not releasing their official statistics, but there was a leak. You know, sometimes the documents leak. If you look at it, there's a leak. 1 in 10.
Yeah. So are you saying that it's possible that persons who did it could get wrong information then?
Wrong? Do what? A DNA test?
Mm.
No, man. No. A
Okay,
DNA test that is done. All right, let me not talk about other companies. Let me talk about 876DNATEST. You have to understand how this thing working out. But our DNA tests have the highest accreditation standard in it. If you look on the back of our kit, you know, it tell you all the accreditation standards, you know. Yeah, CAP, AABB, ANBB, ISO, the highest accreditation standard. There are lab partners that have the highest accreditation standard in the world. Right? So what you understand is that when our DNA sample, we collect enough DNA samples from, let's say you're doing a paternity test, a child and a father, to run each DNA test twice. So when we take 4 swabs from each person, 2 from the father and 2 from the child, go to one team of PhD level lab technician, and 2 go to a next team of PhD lab technicians. They conduct 2 independent DNA tests. At the end of the testing day, they send their independent results to the chief lab technician, and these results must match exactly. It's at that point in time that we generate a report, and you get something like this, and it's one of 2 answers. It is either 0% probability of paternity, which means that you could never be biologically related, or 99.999% probability of paternity. So if you're talking about a company that with accreditation standard and methodologies this rigid, these results are not right. If we tell you, say, so you go, so you go.
So if it's at 0%, you still get the pretty certificate?
You know, if you order legal, because remember, it's part of what you pay for. If you order it, honestly, you can't do nothing with it, kind of make no sense. But of course, you get the pretty certificate with 0 points.
But I must say, all we're doing in 876, you understand that because they're from Jamaica, you think the process is not up to par. It's fully up to par. But
No. Jamaica's a girl chest then.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Cool.
Let's say it's great having you break down some of these information to us. I want to again big up this episode was brought to you by 4BD, the ideal place for males fashion. We want to emphasize that again. We want to talk about the promo code so you can get your discount, $5,000 discount, which is Kommon Cents, starting with a K. Make sure you use that up. And we want to big up Island Purified Water as well, with also a sponsor here. We're here with the man from 876 who gave us the knowledge and the info that people needed to hear. You understand? And we really appreciate it. So we want to take a little break and then we'll be back with Q with the questions about the therapeutics part of it. All right? You know, Q.
Yes, sir. Have a great night.